If you want to attract a big client, make sure you have enough work to prove that that client can hire you. You remember the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie?
Yeah.
I say that stuff all the time. I'm like, oh man, I gave him the cookie, dang it. Because they're just going to ask for some milk. That happened with the Cardi B stuff. Her performance was the next day.
Did you guys do it?
We put in the work. We did not go to sleep. We gave her everything she wanted. And like your passion is also like what you're like gifted at as well. So like everybody's given like a gift, and like what you do with that gift is like your purpose. You are given the gift, but you also give that gift to other people.
Yeah.
Like real artists who are using AI are using it a part of like their process.
Tools in the toolkit.
Tools. Everything else is just America and it's consumerism. You got this new thing, okay, we're gonna make as much of it, we're gonna make as much money as possible.
Replicate this
just take it.
Yeah. Welcome to the I Feel You vodcast. I'm your host, Eddie Wise, and on this episode, we speak to Apollo. Apollo, a New York-based creative, is a master of motion graphics and visual effects. Skilled in 3D animation, 2D motion graphics, AI art, and visual effects. Apollo is known for crafting captivating digital art for diverse clients worldwide. On this episode, we speak on the power of a brand, the disconnect between artist and consumer, and how to attract bigger clients. Thank you so much for watching. We are so excited to move into the second half of our wonderful season. This is my favorite thus far for sure. And we are happy to have you here. Please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like the video. It helps us a lot. If you're on any streaming platforms such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please share this with as many people as you can on Instagram, any social medias that you have. It really does help a ton. And if you are watching and you know trailblazers of your own, people that you feel are making impact in your community as an artist, please feel free to let us know. Let us know their name and their social medias, and we will reach out because we want to talk to more trailblazers. We want to talk to more people who are making a positive change for their communities. And thank you in advance. And without further ado, enjoy the episode. We are here.
We are here.
We are here in this room.
In this room.
Together.
Here we are. Oh man, people usually do cold opens. It's usually like a cold open type thing. I just like bring up like a topic.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, life.
So, what's up, guys? Back with another episode. I'm totally. Can you imagine?
I was like, oh, you got official.
No, So I don't know how you feel about it, but that always like it's good for the product and it looks good. But every time you hear the same intro for like every video, after a while, it kind of feels a little bit like awkward. I feel like, I don't know.
Maybe saying it, I do love a good like just like I have like a select group of like YouTubers where I'll say it with them like.
You say, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's an interesting interaction.
Philip DeFranco would be like, "Sup, you beautiful bastards."
You sounded just like.
That's how we be too.
I love Philip DeFranco. Actually, he's pretty cool.
That's how I get my news right there.
Yeah. He's a good source. I think it's like really condensed, so I feel like some of the details are sometimes left out, but he has like a really good program.
Yeah.
That you get a lot of information at once in like that small amount of time. So
yeah, facts.
I like Philip DeFranco.
Yeah.
Not how I expected the conversation to start, but we're here. And thank you, Apollo, for being with us today on this beautiful day. It's actually, I feel like it's nice outside.
It's really nice.
How are you feeling overall?
I'm good. Took a calm trip here. It was just nice. The weather's just breezy, you know. It's just I emptied out my plate for this, so it's like nothing on my mind, nothing lingering, no projects lingering or anything. So
that's good, man. Yeah, we love your work. It's really, really cool.
Thank you.
And we were really excited when you were like to say yes, like you were quick to say yes, and that makes us, one, happy. Thank you for being here, and two, just really excited to dive into what you do and how you do it, because you have a lot of expertise, it seems, and your work is incredible. So
thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's my pleasure, and it's my pleasure to host you. First question, we got that out of the way. How you feeling? The second question I have, your work is we'll just jump right into it. Your work is getting better and better every day. We see that you are innovating in a lot of ways as well. And you went, you motion graphics to 3D graphics, full assets, incredible work with you in it, you outside of it, work for clients, all of this beautiful stuff. How did you get into visual design altogether?
Honestly, when I was a kid and I just started drawing, you know.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I would just like watch like a lot of anime and just like get inspired by that. Just animes and movies. I would like watch a lot. And even like I remember just like playing with my toys. I would just like set up the shots like with like the vision, like, you know, with the toys and stuff. And then like being so inspired by like anime, like the storyline, I'm like, wow, like I really feel it. I would draw like little comic books and stuff, just like all these like, and then basically just be like storyboards at the time, you know. And I got a camera, fun fact, when I was like 12, and I was like literally shooting and editing like YouTube videos at the age of like 12 and like 13.
Wow.
So yeah, just like that love. I was fortunate enough to find like my passion for like this like very early on in life. So it's just been blossoming ever since.
That's good. I went into my closet recently, like back home in Orlando, and I went through it because there was a bunch of stuff from like when I was like in kindergarten. Apparently, I had no idea that I had so many documents. And I went from there, and it was like all the way up until I left to New York, and I found a bunch of my old drawings. And I was also into anime, and I also used to draw like comics, basically.
Yeah.
So funny. It was always action. It was never like anything like, you know, story based, but it was always like stick figure comics or whatever.
Yeah.
And dude, so many of them. Just like I remember, I did like I think it was like elementary school, but I did like this, it was a book of dragons, I guess is what it was. And there was like a bunch of names of like the kids that I knew, but we all drew like different dragons and like put them into this like book or whatever. And it's funny that you say that because it just reminded me of all of that. Did you have friends that also did the same thing, or were you kind of like friends? Solo? No, they were like into drawing and like, you know, anime and stuff.
Yeah, I had like one like main friend, you know, and he was always just like a little bit better than me in like everything low key. So I had something to like strive for, you know.
That's
I'm like,
good.
he's doing the lines like that. Oh, okay, let me do the lines like that, you know. It's just
that's cool.
Something like that always helped me. Yeah, but
so you're always into design, and then when did you get into like graphic design and then like motion graphics and stuff like that, like the more intense stuff that you're doing?
I went to college for graphic design for about like half a semester.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm like, this is kind of like what I want to do. And then after I dropped out, I moved here to New York. And my brother, who I used to live with, is like a very successful art director here.
Wow. Well, that's sick.
And I was just modeling at the time for like 3 months. But 3 months in, he's just like, you know, you could just be doing what I'm doing, all this like motion graphics and stuff. You know, you like the same stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll give it a shot, you know. And then he tried teaching me and it just did not work out, you know, After Effects.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
Looking at the After Effects for the first time.
So you're talking about VFX, like as in like for like video, for like a
motion graphics, you know, mostly,
graphics,
like graphic design, but it just moves like everything,
Okay.
you know. That has to do with like that. Yeah. So so he was just like teaching me and stuff, and that mixed with like the YouTube videos like really just like helped. And it's just my obsession with knowledge really just like amplifies like what I do, I feel like. Back in high school, we had I also did graphic design, and we had a class for graphic design, and that was like really convenient.
Cool. Jesus.
Right. And I remember like first coming in, and you made t-shirts in the class too, like the whole screen printing.
Sick.
Yeah, right. So I'm like, I remember
so
like
cool.
first coming in here, and that was like my first little spark of like, whoa, so if I just like learn all this stuff, I can make t-shirts. I can have my own t-shirts. Like, okay, yeah, let me take this class. And then it's just like, you know, it's just been growing from there. Like you learn a specific like YouTube tutorial. It's like, oh, you can, okay, now I can make a like a holographic like hologram floating from my hand now off of this like tutorial. So it's just like I've learned like knowledge is power as far as like your art and your craft. It's like really just that's what's helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's really great. Do you feel like you are the type to like get into something and like you really get into it?
Yeah, my ADHD has like I have like I get hyper focused like a lot. Yeah. So whether it just be like you'll see it through like my work, I'll be like into like 3D for one moment, or like just like AI for another second. You know, right now it's just like kind of in the 3D like, you know, area right now. Yeah. So that's just where my hyper focus is.
Do you feel like because you talked about how you kind of not stumbled, but there were moments in your life that kind of showed you a little bit of the world that you're in now, and I guess, was it only because the way you talked about it, especially when your brother was teaching you, there were times where you're like, I don't know, I don't know. How did you get to the point where you're like, no, I really love this? And did you find like purpose in that when it comes to the passion that you had?
I actually have that written down.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was fortunate enough to find my passion very early in life. Like this is the thing that I like wake up and I just like want to do. It's like I have like something inside of me is just like, yeah, no, like no matter what life throws at me or where I'm at in life or what I'm doing, I always just like have this like passion or just like I just want to do this. I just want to like make something. Even like when I was a kid, I'm like alone in my room. I'm like, I just want to draw. Let me just like draw something, like let me like make something. And I feel like for like people, I feel like as far as like your purpose, it's just like finding your passion first off. And like your passion is also like what you're like gifted at as well. So like everybody's given like a gift, and like what you do with that gift is like your purpose. So you just be curious, just look at those things that you're just naturally drawn to, you just naturally love, and you just like really get excited about, and it just like gives you like the most like life.
Yeah.
I love the idea that everybody has like their own gift and talents, and you can see it in just like the biggest scales. From like Michael Jackson, he was given like the immense gift of just like entertainment, and just like millions and billions of people have like received this gift, like, oh, Michael Jackson, thank you for just existing, or it'd be like a pregnant woman on the subway, and she'll just be singing and be just like so moving, and then just like people just like, wow, yeah, and then they'll pay her, so it's like her gift not only like helps her survive in life, but it just like she's able to like give that to others. It's like a give and take. It's like funny, it's like you are given the gift, but you also give that gift to other people.
That's so interesting. And you felt like, and was it always like this from the beginning? Because you said you felt like you found it really early. Did you know back then even that you were like, this is my passion? Really?
Yeah. Like
That's
I'm graduating high school, and they say write a letter to yourself in the next 5 years. And I'm like, what's up? I know you're doing like graphic design. I know you're like working at a job that that's like growing like more and more every single day. Like, and I know you're out of like South Carolina right now, so I'm like, I just like, I knew from like, I just wasn't going to be where I was,
Wow.
And it's just, again, like it's inside of me, it's just like that feeling, like some inside of me just knows that like, I just know I'm like destined for like this, so it's just like whatever, like I said, it's just like that curiosity, like what is this feeling? I'm gonna just like chase that. I'm gonna like follow that feeling that I have.
That's really cool. Sometimes I say, and I've talked about this before, but I found theater when I was in high school, like the end of high school.
Same, yeah.
And well, we're gonna get to that. But I found it later in high school, and I say oftentimes that I found it late. But in a lot of people's life, compared to other people, that's pretty early.
Yeah.
To find something that's like that kind of that affected me in that way. One thing that I relate to is that you said that when you were alone in your room when you were younger, you're like, I just want to make something, right? I just want to create.
Right.
My instinct was to emulate, and that came out in my drawing. So I would love to draw anime. So I would take a shot from an anime, like a really cool scene or whatever, Dragon Ball Z, Goku going Super Saiyan, or like, something from Bleach or any of these anime.
Yeah.
And I would just like draw the scene. I would draw the thing, and I would just like copy it, right? I would look at it, draw the line exactly the way that I wanted it to go. And I didn't connect these dots until later in life. But in any instance where I was doing something or going for something, I was always trying to emulate, always. So I felt like when I found acting, it was like the perfect thing, because emulation was like one of my skills. I felt like I could be things or be other people or pretend really well.
Right.
And it was interesting to make that connection, because I'm an actor, and that's kind of what I want to do. That's what I do. And it feels like it was always a thread. And I feel like if you looked at anybody's life, and I'm sure with yours, your life can help make it clear for other people, but there was always like a thread of creation for you.
That part, yeah.
It seems like. And you found purpose through that. And luckily, like we just said, we, found these avenues in career fields.
Right.
Careers that we could actually go into and do what our passion was.
Exactly.
it's cool to hear. It's really
I like
great to
that
hear.
threads. That yeah, I'm gonna carry that with me. Thread, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I feel like, and that's why I feel like, in like my end game is just like to build like those communities for like other people, and just like make those threads, you know, for like those kids, you know, because like again, like it was the possibility that this is like able to, that I can like do this, like led me to like, okay, I want to do this, you know, like kids like could be just like, oh, I can make a freaking robot, like yo, okay, I'm gonna get into like some engineering, you know, like. Yeah, just like programs are very important, you know, things like that, you know, just to ignite those like sparks very early on.
I've said this before, is that eventually I want to go back home. And because I know, especially in low income areas, I know that there are so many kids that just have no idea. They don't know most of the potential careers that exist out there, or the things that you can do with your life. It's all very narrow in terms of the paths that they have. Yeah. So I applaud you for saying that, because we're on the same page in terms of that, so that's really cool.
And even if you don't, even if you have like multiple, you know, like things, I feel like you can still like combine them together. Because I wanted to be like, I was drawing and I was producing like music at the time too. So I'm like, you know, you put both those together, it's like sound production and like, you know, so it's like sound things like that. Sound design, yeah.
It's really cool. And I think that a big part of that is, or a big part of building communities and teaching younger people is, a big part of that is culture and how to influence culture. And you have said recently that, especially in pop culture, you really enjoy, and to get to a little bit of the work that you do specifically, you are starting to really enjoy the cartoony and exaggerated nature of a lot of the art that's being put out there now. You like that it's going in that direction. To talk about that a little bit, why do you enjoy this era of culture in terms of that cartoony, more exaggerated vibe? And I guess, how does that inspire your work?
You hit on another point I wrote down. What I like about that is, we're like, you know, the zaniness of, you know, just content now is just, I feel like overall content is just like an escape, you know, whether it be, you know, you go all the way back to like the Coliseum days and like, wow, like let me just like, you know, they got the monarchy or whatever, but like, let me watch these people fight to the death, you know, or like you got the 50s. It's like, you know, we got people dropping bombs and stuff in war, but like, look at this toaster, you know, it's just like, it's an escape, you know? So I've always like, the more extreme the escape, the more like, okay, yeah. 'Cause like, we all experience like real life every single day, you know, and it's just like that's what's interesting, and it's like what drives. I feel like me too, because I also like to emulate, but I'm like a Frankenstein of like sorts. I like to take like different things in like life and just like combine them together. Like, what would these things look like together, you know? Or I'll see like a somebody do like a 2D like picture of something. I'm like, what would like the 3D version of that like look like, you know? So it's just I like exaggerated. Oh, also it's just like the way I express myself too as well. It's always been just a little different. Just, I don't know, just playing with it, you know. I've never liked I've always challenged norms, you know, and I feel like content like that challenges what's normal. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you're used to this, but like, what if it looked like this, you know? My favorite cartoon right now is Being Puppy Cat.
What is that?
Being Puppy Cat. It's on Netflix. It's my shit, man. What is that? It's so it's just, it's kind of random, but it's like, I love the aesthetic of it, and it's like I don't know, she's like a robot, and then she's like working at this kitty shop, and then she wants a kitty, so this kitty drops out of the sky, and it's just like, yo, I'm a kitty, but I'm also like a warrior from like another galactic like thing inside of this cat form, and like I lost my princess, and I'm just escaping from this giant monster, but I'm gonna just chill as a cat. We're gonna go on adventures together throughout. This is like, yo, this is a lot. I'm digging it. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually, it's on Netflix, you said?
Netflix, yeah. Super creative. So funny. Yeah, like it's like you just love that. Like she like injures her little robot arm, and like the cat takes a little guy, and the little guy has a strawberry, and he drops the strawberry inside of her, and then the strawberry turns into a seed, which turns into a flower, which turns into something else that helps fixes her. It's like, yo, y'all creative as hell on this.
Wild.
Yeah, it's like,
Yo, if somebody were to like drop in the episode like right when you're saying that, there, what is going on?
Literally.
That's actually so. That sounds great.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tropes is the cat, where it's like it's a person but they're in cat form, and then eventually they become a person. I feel like that's a common trope. But
you like really tropes? You like all the like tropes and like
tropes.
Cliches.
Shonen
like,
anime is like my favorite anime because that's just all tropes.
Yeah.
So it's like tropes are just, when they're done well, I think they're underrated and I think they're underappreciated.
You ever watch like film essays or any of like those kind?
Yeah.
Okay. Like Cinema Sins at all?
Yeah, Cinema Sins is sick too. I watch a lot of every frame a picture, I think is what it's or every frame of something, and it's a really, really high quality video essay, film essay type thing where they just like go super in depth on like films and media out there. And I just get into those YouTube. You talked about YouTube earlier, like where you learn on YouTube. I learn most of the stuff that I know on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
people still feel like they got to go to college. Like they see my my posts a lot, and they'll be like, "Hey, what college did you go to, or what did you learn to like get into this?" I'm like, you don't have to. You really don't have to.
Yeah. It's I also dropped out of college, so it's funny that you say that as well. I feel like there are a lot of similarities here. In terms of your content, what you do, like I said before, it's incredible. Please, if you haven't seen Apollo's work, please go check it out.
Thank you.
You do a lot of your work, or you share a lot of your work on social media, and I feel like you make content that's specific for Instagram as well, and like those sharing apps. And you also share the work that you do for clients as well. How do you use social media, and how do you use it to inspire your creativity as well?
I'm telling you, man, you hit on all these points I wrote down. I like prepared this. I use my social media as a means of just like inspiration. Your phone can be more than just a means of instant gratification. So I constantly I like change my algorithm to where it's just all the people that inspire me, all the like dope art, the art, the niches that I'm like interested in. So it's like everybody has a constant, like, it's just a habit to just like, let me just wake up, let me just get on my phone, let me just scroll through. It's just like doom scroll. It's inevitable. So it's just like make the content that you're like ingesting like something that is like worthy of it, like ingesting, So it's like I'll be scrolling. It's like, oh, dope. Yeah. Fun fact, my Instagram saved is probably the best and biggest like means of inspiration. Like it's its own Pinterest. Like literally I have like categories, and it's like thousands of Instagram posts, and every single one of these categories of just nothing but like art, and I can just like pull from like all these like references. It's like, so if I ever like want to make something, I'm like, I will literally just like scroll through like my saved, and it's like, yeah, that's dope. So I'm like, I really like what he did over here, and I'll just keep scrolling. I'm like, oh, with a little bit of this, that's a really dope, piece
People
of art right
the
there.
Saved,
yeah. So yeah, don't underestimate the power of just not scrolling just to consume, but scrolling just to like inspire. Yeah,
for sure. And I like that you said that, because making your content useful to you is incredibly vital. As creatives, we have the honor and the privilege of being able to use social media as a benefit to us. For a lot of the people that watch the show, for a lot of people that I know, that's where our work is. A lot of the times that's where we get known, that's where we get people to see what we do, and how we get our clients oftentimes, or how we get how we make connections in the industry. And I feel like, I have the feeling, I don't know this for sure, but I do feel like a lot of creatives aren't using social media to the fullest capacity. And especially the sites that algorithmically feed you things. If your interests and your career and the content that you create aligns with what you see on your feed, you're only looking for inspiration. And if you can tap into that, you can allow that to get you off of the screen. Because if you see work that you're really into, it's like for me watching a movie. the second I finish watching a movie, I want to go do something. I want to go act. I want to go perform. I want to work on something. That's the feeling that I get.
Right.
And if I can tap into that and make that useful, then that time spent is never time wasted.
Exactly.
It's always time that's fueling me in some kind of way.
Yeah.
And if you can use your Instagram, your TikTok, your YouTube, I use my YouTube a lot to inspire. My content is, I'm also into like knowledge and just knowing things. And so I watch a lot of content that sometimes isn't great, but is very useful. So political content is like one of the things that I really dive into. But it also inspires my
political content's the one that's great and not useful.
It's not great sometimes, but it's also very useful. It's like a lot of the times it's drama, but it's also things that are relevant to society and to my life. And I use it to study human interaction as well, because we interact in really interesting ways, especially in politics. So when you can tap into a feed, all that to say, when you can tap into a feed and your content, it's just, it could be so like you're going through your saved and you're like, I'm gonna do this and that. That's like value that no artist in the past could ever have. That's not something that you could just pull out of anything. You would have to gather so many different books when people are willing to put it in books to then get that kind of information to inspire your work. We have like the world in our hands with that kind of with social media and stuff like that. So that's what are some of your favorite pages that you like look at? Do you have a lot of pages that you go back to, or is it just like constant artists?
The biggest artists, the bigger artists, I like to follow a lot of people who do kind of the same thing that I'm doing, but just like are just more consistent with their branding. So it's like, oh, okay, okay. Imani, I don't know if you're. Dang, I hope I'm getting the shout out right, because that's a good. I really like her content. Mike Diva is another cool one.
You are able to, like I said before, on social media, you've been able to not only show your progress, but also kind of give us a lot of insight. And you've enhanced your visual skill set immensely. And a part of that journey has been your use of AI. You are an artist. There are a lot out there, but we don't see them too often. You're an artist that really does embrace the art of AI, like what it does for your content. And you've been very transparent about that, and you're also very transparent in the process. I love your videos on like how you did these things, and the AI stuff is like crazy. It's pretty sick. As someone who has really tapped into that field, what have been some of your favorite discoveries in using AI for your art?
For sure 100% best thing about AI is how easy it makes everything, whether it's like cleaning up something. I feel like the Photoshop generative fill has just been the most saving grace, as far as my workflow. And Mid-Journey, as far as like I use AI art a lot to like inspire me as well. Just for like what would this like look and style, like I said, like I consume a lot of content, so it's like, let me just make my own type of thing, let me just like see what that's about. But yeah, for sure my favorite part is just its ability to make everything easier.
Do you have some challenges that you've encountered with AI that make you kind of, that like you have to overcome, or things that you're working with through now? The
only hard part about AI is just the big boy AI, like Stable Diffusion, where it gets into coding, because it's like all the numbers and stuff, it's just like, it's a lot. It's like really cool. It's like the most legit form of AI, but it's just like really complex. Yeah, people say like, oh, it's like AI, anybody can do it, but like some of it, it's just like you gotta learn some stuff. You gotta like, let me. It's like one of them is like a camera move where like where it's like it's just me as an AI, and then I transform into this light right here, and that light transforms into New York City, and it's just like you have to type in the exact code, like camera rotate X 3, camera push in Z 4, you know, and like so
Jeez.
it's like all that. It's like every bit of movement. So it's
But then it does that if you can do it correctly, it'll
oh yeah, if you can do it correctly, then it's just like it's really really
it's so
cool.
sick.
And you can always copy and paste somebody else's camera
True,
moves.
yeah. That's a really interesting thing as well, because that's a type of AI in terms of the conversation that's happening around that's not talked about a lot. Most of the AI conversation is like, oh, it just makes art for you and it's done, right? What you're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, is the more useful tools that automate parts of your creative workflow that aren't necessarily like, if you want to be creative in that aspect, sometimes it's hard to, because of how much work you have to do to get something like a 3D camera, right? When you can have AI that just kind of puts that in the world for you, and you just tell it what to do and it does it. That's a different kind of AI than many people might be even thinking about or talking about when it comes to the work that people do, right?
I feel like that's the AI that artists use, whether like it's just like real artists who are using AI are using it a part of like their process.
Tools in the toolkit.
Tools, exactly.
Yes.
Just tools as a toolkit. Everything else is just America and it's consumerism. consume.
Yeah.
You got this new thing. Okay, we're gonna make as much of it. We're gonna make as much money as possible.
Replicate this.
Yeah, just take it. Yeah.
And it shows itself in so many different forms of media as well. Like we want to replicate everything that worked and just do it over and over and over again.
Over and over.
So that's really, I'm glad you're shedding light on, because for a lot of people, a lot of, you know, general consumers or people that aren't too into the world of AI, or even people that have fears about AI, would hear you talk about it or hear people talk about it and think like, oh, well, they're just automating all of their work. And for people that are really into it and using it to their advantage, they understand that it's only hyper expanding your creativity, as opposed to making it all just like meh, whatever. Like you can just like put anything in and it just kind of creates whatever.
Exactly.
It's like, no, you're using tools that actually give you more freedom to kind of blow up your box. Right?
Yeah, everybody's got an opinion on the internet. Everybody loves to just say, you know, it's just always like a cheap. I've learned to just like bypass like a lot of comments, because it's just like it's so quick for someone to just go, no, this is AI. This is so easy. You did this and like, this isn't even good. Yeah. Your hair's messed up or something, or look how weird your eyes look. It's just like so much easier for like somebody to. It's just it's an interesting culture of just like, oh, I'm the smartest guy on the internet right now. Let me tell you that AI is just easy. It's just super easy. It's like nothing. Did you see Drake's cover with SZA that's dropping on Friday?
With SZA?
Yeah. He's dropping a song with SZA on Friday, and this is how much AI is just really.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a picture of a woman with just slime covered over. Just
yeah.
Yeah. Did you think that was AI?
No. Is that AI? No,
that was Halle Berry at the Kids' Choice Awards.
Yeah, I thought that looked like Halle Berry. Yeah,
the AI is just really like it's just really, that's a part of the conversation now. That's a part of just like consuming content. It's just questioning whether or not it's AI.
So people thought it was AI.
I was one of those people. I zoomed in. You look at the teeth; they look like Sour Patch Kids. They're like different colored little like glistening blocks right here. I'm like,
that's so interesting.
It's just the way that it looked. I'm like, yo, they really went AI, man. People are gonna be so mad. And I go in the comments, it's like, bro, it's just Halle Berry. I'm like, oh,
at the Kids' Choice Awards.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yo, that's pretty wild, actually. I didn't know there was a whole discourse surrounding that. But you're right. There are a lot of questions now. Anytime somebody like drops something, they're like, yo, is this
AI? Did they do this through AI? And it's like, anytime it is AI, people are like,
discredit. Look at that corner. It looks so awkward.
You seen Secret Invasion?
The opening for Secret Invasion. Was that AI?
Yeah, and that was ironically the same process that I was talking about earlier, where you have to do all the things. People are like, oh, AI, but I'm like, yo, the dude who made this, props to him, because like he had to type in, you had to get such specific parameters to do all those like things. Like it was not
people
easy.
It's the same thing that happens with any product that drops or is released. It's the idea that like, because we can use software on our phone, we feel like we understand it.
Yeah.
And the scope of this, alone, and this came out for me at the keynote as well, because Apple did their keynote or whatever. The scope of this alone, I'm also a technical specialist at Apple, so I deal with this every day. My understanding now is that there's so much more to these things than we even understand, than we know. And what Apple did as a company that is in America, they found the perfect formula that is to make everything as simple as possible, so that as many people feel access to it as possible, which is a great initiative. I think it's cool that everybody can have an iPhone and use it, and it can be effective. I'm seeing 60-year-old grandmas that are glued to their phones now, which, that's a whole conversation within itself. But the idea where there's such a disconnect between what is actually happening, so like the work that these people are putting in, even if they are using AI to create this content, there's this idea that AI can just like spit out shit and do whatever you want it to do. And technically it can.
It can,
But there's still a knowledge gap there. There's still so much technical expertise that you need to have access to those tools, even to do those things. And I feel it must feel really terrible to be the person who created that, or like the team that created that, and everybody on the internet is just like, it sucks because it's AI.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, I can only imagine. I feel like artists go through that too. It's just like the negative. I feel like that's just a cost of just like being like big enough to receive just a general opinion.
Yeah.
Like the Cardi B thing. It's like you make a little video that kind of looks like Ice Spice, and it's like people are like, yo, what the Cardi B, what the you shading Ice Spice? Fuck your performance and how hard you worked on that. I don't care about none of what you did. You were shading Ice Spice, which
that
fun fact, I learned through that experience how like celebrity buzz like happen, like celebrity drama or anything. It's always the power of a fan base is crazy. It's literally like a small group where like, hey, this is like this, right? Yeah, it's like this. She's like shading Cardi B. And then, but like their fan base is like huge. It's like millions of like people in their own like little collective. So that leaks into mainstream.
Yeah.
And then now everybody is just like regular, like, yo, hey, Cardi B was like this.
Yeah.
I remember like literally just watching it, like that little idea just like spread into like regular like mainstream media. I'm like, wow.
And all the news articles, all the platforms are like pushing the narrative.
So I'm like, this is how like narratives like happen.
It's enticing to these companies that are like, if they feed off of, especially when it comes to women in hip hop, they feed off of drama between them.
Yeah.
They will have them eat each other alive.
It's American culture, I feel like.
Yeah, because that is so profitable for them to fight, diss tracks and coming out and saying crazy shit about each other that might not even be true, and like just the beef is so profitable. And
the other guy.
Yeah, the
story of the other guy, the bad guy. It's like, oh, so you're on this side. This is what side is against you. You're a Republican. We don't like the Democrats. You're like freaking, you're a conservative. Well, we don't like the liberals. You know, it's just like, it's always like a story. Like just, you don't like this group. You're a part of this group, and you don't like these people.
And you'll find any reason to discredit the other group as well.
Exactly.
It's like the whole culture right now is like, you're in group, you stick together with them, and then you don't let anybody in, you don't let anybody out, and everybody else is the enemy. And that's the whole...
The story, You're the director. The director has like the most power because he's able to tell you like exactly how you feel. That's another thing I like. Quentin Tarantino said that. He's like, oh, that's why I like, I can make you cry if I wanted to. I can make you scared, I can like ignite feelings in people, and that's just like, that's what media is at the end of the day. It's just like,
that's exactly what it is.
So whoever's in charge gets to say, okay, you're going to feel this way about this and you're going to feel this way about that.
So. And you kind of just have to sometimes hope that people have good intentions, which, it's tough. Anyway, getting back to, because we're talking about concerns in general when it comes to the media and what we're talking about, but the concern specifically for AI, because there are some valid concerns, right? And I'm sure you've experienced some of those valid concerns. There are some people that say that AI can... Of course, it's great because it can accelerate a lot of the creative process. It can give you a lot of the tools that you need to get your product out even faster than ever before was even possible. Some of that, though, is at the cost of some parts of the creative process. Not all the time, but in some instances. in a lot of cases, it can kind of completely wipe out the initial stages of creation when it comes to ideation and the idea of working from a blank slate, which is not always necessary, but sometimes is useful. And I don't agree with these people, but sometimes some people consider that to be the only way that you can start an original work. That if you start from anything else, it's not as original as it could be, right?
My favorite thing is everything's already been done before.
Yeah,
every
no,
concept
exactly.
has
Yeah.
already been done.
That's why I don't agree
Yeah.
wholeheartedly with that. I can agree with the sentiment
Mm-hmm.
and the feeling of knowing like, oh, my artist only works from blank slates and they don't use whatever is being used out there. It's a
little
novel
bit of pride to me.
Yeah,
anyway.
it's a novel feeling, and it's something that, you know, there are artists that can tap into that. I'm sure that's a field of like, oh, I don't use anything, right? I don't use any tool. It's all natural, whatever, which is ridiculous. But in your opinion, how does AI affect for you? How does it affect the different stages of your creative process?
When it's like necessary, you know, it's like you said, it's like a tool. So it's like, is this project gonna require, if you're in Photoshop, like, is this project gonna require the direct selection tool?
Yeah.
Like, am I gonna have to draw like a box, you know? So it's like, if it's needed, it's needed. I don't feel like it's ever gonna get like too out of hand overall, just for the fact that like people won't let it, you know?
Yeah.
Like people are already like, the majority is like, this isn't gonna get out of hand, and if it does, we're gonna have a problem with it, you know. like abortion has been like, you know, like, hey, you know, you can get abortion. Well, my bad. We a little
left field. No, you're good. Go.
But like abortion is like, everybody can agree, like, you know, it's, for the most part, it's like, you know, you can do what you want, Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
But then anybody challenges Roe v. Wade is like, actually, you can get an abortion. People are like, what? No, we already like established this thing, you know. So it's like, we're not gonna let it happen. People like have this fear of like, the other guy from the other country is gonna come over here and invade us, so that's why I got my gun, you know. It's like nobody's gonna really like let that happen, you know. This is America's too like
talking about the extremes, and where like people think to the extremes whenever they're coming up with. Gotcha. Yeah,
it's just like a story. It's just a fun little story, you know. At the end of the day, I don't have any too like big of like fears for like AI.
So in terms of your creative process, so you said like when you need it, you use it, right?
When
it's something that's like, you know, like you said, a camera move, or when it's like you need to just create something right then and there so you can
specific
ideate
lens,
further,
you know?
right? Yeah. So that's essentially like, it just kind of pops up into your process once in a while, or not once in a while, but whenever you need it.
I'm trying to think of how often do I use it like now? Not that often. Like the Photoshop generative, like as much as I'm using Photoshop, I feel like that's about it. Like I'm not even like.
But you use a ton of programs, so I'm sure Photoshop is like literally 2% of the.
I mean, it's all the Adobe suite. I really love the Adobe suite.
It's
so
sick.
yeah,
the Adobe suite is
gliding between all of them, just like seamlessly.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good to know as well, because I feel like some people, like, it's the same thing where you just don't really understand. Like, and this comes from me as well. Like, I don't know graphic design that well. I know Photoshop, I know Illustrator, and I know some of the simple things. But when I would see work like yours, I'm like, I don't even know how much of this is like created by you, or is generative fill, or I don't know how much of this is like, is this a different asset that you might have had? Are all of these assets, are these things that you just make? So like, it's interesting to hear that it's like AI is like maybe a percentage of it, but it's by far one of the tools you probably use the least. It seems like that in terms of all of the other things that you do with your content, right?
Yeah. And as far as that idea, it reminded me of this another concept I like, is the understanding like the fundamentals and the power of like the principle of something. So like another thing that I like to do is like break down like a lot of things. Like if you understand the core principles of like anything, after that you can make it into like whatever you want. So like now that I understand like a lot of like After Effects really, really well, I can look at a piece of art, and if it was done in After Effects, I can go, I know exactly how that was made, you know?
That's so cool. Yeah.
You know how to make a PB&J sandwich, and you make it time and time again. Eventually, you're going to want to, like, cut off the crust. Or, like, let me put strawberry with the peanut butter instead of, like, grape, you know? So I feel like the power, it's, like, really, really important as an artist to get down and understand like the principles of your craft.
Yeah.
Because those are like the building blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great analogy as well.
Like look at Kanye or, you know, like Da Vinci, you know, or just like, I do not want to put those two together. Look at, let me.
I didn't even connect. That's so funny.
Look, I go back to Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson really loved
I think about that legacy all the time.
Yeah, and he really like understood like the principles of like just like, okay, music theory. You understand music theory.
Yeah.
If you play piano and you know music theory, you can play anything on a piano.
Yeah.
And I just think that's just so dope.
You can play actually anything, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the once you understand the core principles, a lot of your preconceived notions can kind of go out the window a lot of the times.
Anything's possible.
Anything is
it's
possible.
Like, how did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
They did it like this.
Yeah.
So all I need to do is just do that, and I can like, and you can create anything
Yeah.
as long as you just know how it's made.
It's really cool. And a lot of the things that we talk about, like I talked about the phone, but I also can talk about VFX and like, you know, some of the bigger movies. So like you talked about Marvel earlier, those VFX seem so out of the scope of my understanding, of my imagination. But once you're in the field, and I'm sure you've felt this as well, you see those things and you're like, I know, like you said, I know exactly how they did that. Like I know the process.
When
right?
the scope is big enough, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's multiple people. That's
Yeah.
not even-
Oh no.
Yeah.
Like thousands of people
Yeah.
sometimes. Like
one
teams
guy
on teams
did
on
the
teams on
lights,
teams.
one guy did
Oh,
the
yeah.
fog, one guy did
Oh,
the
yeah.
like the electricity.
There's, and I'm sure you experience this as well, but when you're a creative and you're working on something, you can only work on one thing for so long that you start to lose your initial vision, or you start to lose what you were even looking at. And things can it's like when you look at a word for too long, or you're like saying a word for too long, and the word starts to get kind of weird. Have you ever felt that before?
Yeah.
The word starts to be like,
Yeah.
you start to really question the word, like, why is it looks weird.
It happens a
spelled
lot.
like that. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I'll be
like,
doing flyers and
he's
stuff. I'm
staring
like,
at this word for so long. It's
did
like
I
it
spell
looks
it wrong?
Yeah. It must be like when you're at that scale. God, so many different aspects of that thing that I'm sure it looks like is there any of this good at some point? It's like I don't even know for one person, right? But that's why you have the team of
the
people
team.
that
The
work.
team grounds you. I
Yeah.
feel like, and if you want to ground yourself as an individual and as an artist, pre-production.
Yeah.
Imani, the same artist I just talked about earlier, she just dropped this video I just saw on my way here. I'm like, yeah, exactly. The importance of pre-production and like how that is just like make sure that you don't veer off path, you know, and you're not taking too long on a project, you know. So it's like storyboarding, the importance of just like having the idea, and like by the end I want it to look like this. It has to look like this. So nothing gets in your way. It's like, oh well, that doesn't look like this, so I don't even have to worry about that idea, you know. You don't have to like just sit there and just like, so even like starting from like a blank script, like a blank slate, you know, you're not really starting from like a blank slate,
Not necessarily,
you know, a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's really
pre-production, super
pre-production
important.
is like, it will save your life. It will save you so much time, so much money.
And as someone
much energy.
who has been in like the more like experienced, like higher up like rooms and stuff where people are like working and stuff, I've seen that like that's the only way things get done. Like
it's the only way.
you like you're not doing like a freaking the Grammy Awards without like a whole storyboard, images and stuff. You're not designing the Apple logo without like making like 1,000 versions of like, it's got to look something like
Yep,
this.
that's 100% true. And I'm glad you mentioned that you the rooms that you're talking about, because you've been able to create amazing visual content for the likes of Cardi B, like you said earlier. How do you attract bigger clients in that way? And first I just want to ask that. How do you attract bigger clients, and what kind of gets you into those rooms, and, you know, how do you stay there?
If you want to attract a big client, make sure you have enough work to prove that that client can hire you. You know, if Dyson, who makes freaking blow dryers or hair dryers, wants like me to like, they're gonna pay me a bunch of money to make a 3D model of the Dyson blow dryer, and they go on my Instagram and I got nothing. I got no previous work. It's like, we can't even really go to you at that point. I can't even like, so it's just the proof of concept. Another very important thing is the proof of concept, having something to prove that you can do that big job for them. So in networking with the proof of concept, because jobs like that, a lot of the time, the truth is, it's like who you know and like what rooms like you're in. Like it's just a perfect time and place, you know, especially in those, like whether it's like television or like award shows and stuff. It's all like connections, you know, and you have that's why I don't like stray too, like I don't focus too much on like social media now. Is it's not that important. My brother told me this, and then it didn't until the Cardi B thing, where I posted the Cardi B thing and I'm getting like hundreds of thousands of views and all these comments. I'm like, oh, I really don't have to like, you know, really strive for like getting all these likes and comments anymore, because it's not even really about that. It's like I didn't get Cardi B from like Instagram or whatever. I got it from like knowing my brother and my brother knowing Cardi B's manager or whatever her name is, creative. Shout out to King P. But yeah, it's just having the proof of concept and just knowing like the right people and just like those jobs, like, okay, and then let's say you do get that big job, you know, do a good enough job to where they're like, I know somebody, like they get another job like that. It's like, I know somebody who can do this. This guy killed it the first time, you know, and then once you do get that first one, you also have another proof of concept. Like, yes, I can do that for you. I did it for this guy. So that's very, very important.
Yeah, when I don't even know what the exact saying is, so I'm just gonna say whatever comes to my mind.
Go for it.
When luck meets skill, that's when there's opportunity.
Yeah,
and
I think so. Yeah,
it's something along the lines. But what you're saying is that it wasn't about the likes or the comments on social media. It was about the fact that you had a breadth of work that was impressive enough for them to be like, actually, yeah, we would actually love to work with this person. And it was more about of course the luck of the connection, because the connection is important, and people want to have other people that vouch for other people, because it's important when you're doing, especially when you're bringing somebody into your creative journey. But it's not just knowing those people, it's also being able to skill. The skill. And also sometimes it is about your likes and comments, to be, you know, straightforward. Some people got to get work based off of their social media presence and the work that they show on social media. For big
jobs, I wouldn't say it's like iffy for main, like just like main clients. That is my main source of income. My Instagram. I will post if I ever want clients, just like regular clients, if I'm ever searching for money, I can just post something that I haven't made before. And somebody will go, I want something like that. Okay, cool. And I feel like it's beneficial to post like different proofs of concepts, just or like you can like ignite something in somebody to, you'll never know, like somebody may want, you know, a video of a toaster kind of like spinning around in a retro feel, like, oh, that is cool.
That's funny.
But I do get all my clients from Instagram. Instagram is where I get all my money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you said toaster, it reminded me of what you said earlier. It was so funny. Because
the like, 50s,
here's a toaster.
Here's a toaster, you know.
Like, that actually killed me.
It's so true, you know,
so
just
funny.
Escaping and
escapism.
And the consumerism and stuff.
When you're working with these bigger clients and you're in these, especially when you're going into other fields, so like you are a designer that will oftentimes, of course, as designers, one of your skills is that you can kind of approach any type of field and adapt and like kind of create something for that field that works for it, in a way that, you know, other fields can't. But when you're working with clients and you're working with these especially bigger clients, but even on the smaller scale, because with visual design, and we talked about this a lot, but the disconnect that some people have between what it takes to be a graphic designer, what it takes to do these visual design, and what they think it entails. Are there a lot of like things that you have to connect with people? Like when you're in these rooms with people and they're asking for something specific, do you have sometimes some disagreements or disconnects between people that you have to kind of resolve? Like what are the differences and the similarities when you're talking to a client in terms of your work and what you do?
Now I've gotten to the point where skill really helps, where it's like I know what you're capable of, you know? So it's like I know that when you execute something, it's going to be of like this quality.
Okay, yeah.
And once like the quality is good enough, you have less of that back and forth of like the client. it's just like,
that makes sense.
Yeah, this looks really good. Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
They're like, we want this. Do
Yeah.
it. And then you do it, and they're like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, there is like some unfortunate times where the client holds too much power. They feel they have too much power.
Yeah.
And then I call it, you remember the book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie?
Yeah.
I say that stuff all the time. I'm like, oh man, I gave him the cookie. Dang it. Because they're just going to ask for some milk, They're He's like, wow, that is so dope. Oh my gosh, you did exactly what I asked. But what if it had like a banana on it, It's like, oh, dang, I gave you what you really wanted, but now you want something else. Okay.
Yeah.
And that happened with the Cardi B stuff, and we only had a day to do it. Like her performance was the next day, and I'm like, I'm presenting all this to her, and I didn't know at the time that I wasn't supposed to be talking, and my brother was supposed to be talking. Wow. So I'm just like hyped up. I'm like, yo, I'm talking to Cardi B right now. I'm like, yo, so here's the work. Because we had to show her like the visuals and stuff. Like, this is what your visuals are going to look like. And she's like, I don't like that. I like that. Can you do that? Can you add that? I want to like more of this. And I'm just going, yeah, anything you want. Yeah, sure. But not knowing that like I'm adding in all this work for us to do. Yeah. So by the time we walk out of that meeting, my brother's like, what the hell did you just do? Do you know how much work you just put on our plate? Like, you should have been to tell her, like, no, we really can't do that. We don't have enough time. Oh. So that's a real, like, quick lesson I had to learn.
That's a tough lesson, too.
Yeah.
Did you guys do it?
We put in the work. We did not go to sleep. We gave her everything she wanted.
Wow.
And, so.
That must be cool, though. Like, that feeling.
It's really cool. I remember, like, just wanting to, like, scream for something. It's just, like, it's an adrenaline rush. I'm like,
that's the adrenaline.
All those people, and then you're looking at, like, your work, and you're like, oh, snap. Oh, this is, like, really dope.
That must be, like, euphoric almost. That's pretty wild.
I'm very blessed for that opportunity.
Yeah, that's so cool. And listen, you worked hard, and you got there, and a lot of your skills and talents, were appreciated that day, I'm sure, and are appreciated every day by us for sure. Because every time I open my page and I see your stuff, I'm like, damn, this is so fucking sick.
I gotta do more tutorials, man. Cool. I want to like help more people. Like more people can like.
One of my favorite things you did was the when you celebrated 10K. And it was like you had gotten to 11K, so you like switched it up and did that. That was very intelligent. Also really cool. It looks so cool.
Yeah, the power of marketing and psychology too. You got to get into. Are you into like any of that?
Yeah. I haven't gotten deep into marketing psychology, just psychology in general, like the more human aspect of things, but not marketing. No, yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's insane. Like the most successful brands in history have the most immense knowledge in psychology and like how to make you feel about a product. Yep. So yeah, it's just like I feel like I'm interested in getting more into that as far as like my marketing and like branding. Branding too, I would say, is very important. Branding is as an artist. Yeah. It's like brands are like very powerful. You say the word Disney, it's like you automatically think like superheroes and like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah. Now you do, Star Wars and everything, every major media.
So
so funny.
When I say Project Feel, what comes to your mind?
Oof, community, love, mostly community and love. Actually, when I think about that, of course, art. A lot of very talented individuals that really care about people still. I think it's rare that you find talent like we have found, and not even just like within the team. I mean like just the community of Project Feel in general. So all the people that are a part of this community. It's rare that you find talent the way that we have and still have them so deeply ingrained in the community and like they really care about this place, And we've been taught a lot of lessons, but one of my favorite things is that everybody has a reason, and sometimes it might not align with yours, but as long as you move forward with respect and love and the intention to continue this community, you can work through anything.
And
And the reason I've learned that is because I've seen it I've seen people not want to work so many times where it's like, I see that you don't want to be a part of this community, or you don't want that kind of love or respect or appreciation, and that's totally valid. And you're gonna move forward, and one day hopefully you come back. But that's when I think about Project Feel, I primarily think about community and all of the lessons that I've learned because I've been lucky to be a part of it. So that's typically what I think of. I would be interested to know what you think of, actually, when you think about, aside from all the stuff that I said, because I don't even.
You went real deep into it, but you're more involved into it, so you got a whole different perspective.
I'm deep into the
Project Feel.
Oh yeah, I'm indoctrinated.
I see flowers, and I see film, and I see purple. I see purplish pink a lot. And after that, the visual is just, like you said, community. Yeah. Definitely community, and just like raw, authenticity. Yeah, that for sure. That's it. Just like blooming, flowery, authentic. Oh my gosh, say that word. I dare you. Authentic. That's it.
Authentic. That's the word. Yo, remember how we were just talking about this when words get weird? Yeah, I love that. No, I appreciate you even asking that question. It's really cool of you. And like you said, power of brands. It's really incredible. And thank you for dropping your insight, your knowledge, what you've seen, what you've experienced, the work that you do. Thank you for being transparent about all of that as well. It's really awesome. And I'm sure that anybody that made it through to the end of this episode has learned something that they didn't know before. And I think that they would be inspired to learn more, which that's all I want to do. So I appreciate you for giving us your mind in that regard.
Thank you. Thank you for
us to
having
open
me.
up that space. Yeah, of course. It's our pleasure, man.
I appreciate you. I appreciate this. I appreciate you giving other people, the platform. Thank you for giving me the platform to speak and share my mind. It's been real dope. It's been real more success to you and your friends, and
of course,
your brand, like all you guys, like for real.